been 1 year today that we were on our workshop, and I am so grateful to Julia and Kevin and Brianna and all the ladies that were in my workshop, because now I have this. Thank you.
So that was Emily. Emily was a attendee in our Level Up workshop, and we have Emily here today to kind of give her testimony of what has happened in just 1 year after she took our Level Up Boudoir workshop. Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those that don't know, this is my husband, Kevin. And Kevin actually is in the workshop with me. He teaches a lot about marketing and sales and things like that. We kind of put our brains together to put this workshop on for everybody. So thank you so much for coming, Emily.
Hi, Julia. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
And Emily, you're all the way across the United States from us. You flew in from Michigan to come to the Level Up workshop. And would you say it was worth it?
100%. I would do it again and again.
That's awesome. We have just loved watching your journey this last year. It's been her 1 year anniversary from attending our workshop just passed. And tell us what has happened? I know it's been a whirlwind. What has happened in this year for you?
Yeah, so crazy. I went from an idea of wanting to switch my photography to boudoir to having a full-blown studio with clients coming in and getting sessions done. It's just incredible. I literally went from nothing but an idea to, I have a 1,400 square foot studio that is beautiful in a great part of my town, and I've gotten really great traction, and I've been really busy, and I've been shooting a lot of women and changing a lot of lives, and including my own.
That's awesome.
That is so amazing.
So where were you a year ago, would you say? Like before you came in and came to our workshop, Level Up workshops, like where were you in your journey? Or we always talk about journeys in the workshop, and everybody kind of comes and starts somewhere, and the idea is that you can level up from possibly nothing. Yeah, from where you started, which I don't, if I remember right, like you didn't have a boudoir business. I think you might have been shooting a couple weddings, if I remember. Can you remind us like where you were?
Well, I have been a photographer for 30 years, and boudoir was a dream that I wanted to do. And a year before I came to the workshop, I actually did a couple test shots with a couple of friends just to see if it was something I really wanted to do. And I was just so excited by what I produced and how it felt, and just really connecting with these women and doing this niche of photography. And so then for a year, I kind of kicked around the idea, but there were so many ideas going in my head, and there were so many different lanes, and there was so much in my head that it was so noisy, I couldn't make a decision. And I really didn't have any direction. I just knew in my heart this was something I really, really wanted to do, and I really wanted to pursue. And it's kind of scary to take that leap. And I was leaping into completely unknown. I didn't have anything really. And one day I had been following Julia for quite a few months, and I was following quite a few different photographers, just trying to see what was out there and see what they had to offer. And I just loved Julia's work. And then all of a sudden she was hosting this workshop. And I remember it was on New Year's Eve that I'm looking at it going, oh my gosh, is this what I'm going to do? Like, is this how I'm going to start off my new year? And you had a special if I booked by the 5th of January, right? And so I went from New Year's Eve going, okay, this is available. I actually had COVID that night and had COVID the whole next day. And I was so sick. And on the 2nd of January, I woke up and I was like, all right, I'm doing this. And I think I signed up right away that day. And I'm so glad I did, because the next day your account got taken down. Like it was just shortly thereafter your Instagram account got taken down. I'm like, I don't know how to find this woman. Is she really real?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was this comedy of errors that were happening, but I think when you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be, things line up the way they're supposed to line up. And so I took a leap of faith, really, thinking about your workshop and signing up for your workshop. And it was even really crazy because I had a vacation planned that I was landing from Puerto Rico on Saturday and had to get on a plane and fly to you on that Sunday. Like if there was any delay happening, it was going to be this crazy turnaround. But I'm like, all right, all the dates are lining up. Everything's lining up. I'm not waiting another minute. I'm just going to go and take this chance. And I swear to you, within an hour of being in your class, I felt like the fog lifted and my direction became very clear and my passion had something igniting behind it and it had a process. And by the end of that night, I was so excited I couldn't even sleep that night. You gave us homework, right, Kevin? You gave us some homework about finding, our market, our target audience. And I went back to my hotel room and I stayed up all night working on it because I was so fired up and so excited about what was coming my way. And I can't thank both of you enough for the direction, for the information, for the stuff I didn't even know I needed to know that has helped me get to this point. Because I came home, I landed on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, I found this studio. I signed on it 3 days later and I've just kept going forward. And honestly, for a year, I was just spinning. I had nothing, no direction. I didn't know what to do. I just felt stuck. And then 2 days with you two and I'm on fire. I just couldn't stop.
I love hearing that. It's so awesome. So awesome.
And you guys have been so great the whole way too. Anytime I've ever had any questions, you've been available. And I think having that support is really comforting, especially when you're trying to start a business and you don't know what you're doing, to call out to somebody that's been there already before and has some really great advice to just kind of move you through that blockage. So I remember thinking back a year ago how I was like, ooh, is this the right thing to do? And now I'm going, oh my gosh, the stars aligned and everything worked out. And I went to exactly the right workshop that I needed to go to and connected with the right mentors, because I can't imagine working with anyone else but you two. So completely exceeded my expectations. And I had some pretty high expectations going to that class. I'm like, well, they say they're doing this and this and this. I think that'll be great. And then I get there and just mind blown. Just the amount of data you gave us and direction just completely exceeded my expectations.
What do you think were your your biggest takeaways from it? Like what made everything so clear? What was the one thing that just did it for you and you're like, yes, this is what I needed?
Oh my gosh, just one?
Okay,
let me list.
Okay, three things.
Yeah. What are the biggest
yeah, the biggest takeaways.
Okay, so I have to say, just sitting in your studio space just for those couple of days and just seeing how it was set up really helped solidify in my mind how I needed my studio to be, or what I wanted to have in there. And the shooting day was really helpful too, just to be able to work with clients and see how you go through the flow. And so that was huge, which that's really what I was expecting to see. And I really only thought I was going to get that. So that completely was like, nailed it. but then when Kevin started talking about some of the marketing things, like just knowing who our client is, knowing who, I mean, for lack of a better term, who your Jane is, it was super helpful to really think about, what does she do? Where does she work? What does she, where does she go get her coffee? Who is she? Just defining that. There was another part that Kevin did that I use all the time still, is just he gave us a really great, easy, basic, light lesson, or a lesson in light. And to this day, I still see him doing the example in the room. Yeah, walking around the bed, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never, I've always photographed outdoors, so there's not been a whole lot of indoors. And to just have that little lesson was so eye-opening for me. Gosh, I mean, I could list a lot. Pricing was brilliant. Just knowing how to price myself and where that needed to be. And I cannot even tell you how simple your explanation was and how easy it made for me to figure out what I needed to do on my pricing. And I don't know if I would have had the right answer before. I would have been shooting from the hip. And when you gave us all the data, it's like, oh, well, this is clear. This is easy. I understand it. So there was that. And then Julia, I mean, over mentoring too, I love how every now and then you'll point out different things that make a image incredible versus just okay. Those tiny details really change the way you look at how you're shooting, how you're posing your clients, just all of that. It's just, I could go on and on. I just don't even know if there was one thing. It's just, there was so much, and there was so much more that I wasn't expecting that I got from it when I thought I actually knew a lot already. I mean, again, that lighting lesson should not have been so brilliant. I should have known a lot of that, and to have you do that was just incredible. So yeah, I could go on and on. There's so many things.
Love it.
So I love hearing your biggest takeaways and your experience, because we wanted to create this workshop to kind of fast track people to like where we are to now. What took us years and years and years to like figure out on your own, we kind of formed the workshop to where you guys can avoid those pitfalls. And I love that you mentioned how we made it easy. We made it easy to comprehend, to understand, because I know we all tend to overcomplicate things in our mind sometimes, and it really doesn't have to be that hard. So I'm glad to know that like our message and how, what we wanted you guys to learn came across so well in the workshop. So that was really great.
But I think that is the sign of a true educator, is that your material so well, you can explain it simply. It's when you don't know it so well that the overcomplicated comes in, which again, you just knew you were getting really sound data during the workshop. And there were gems throughout the whole thing. I still have my notebook where I was just scribbling down notes, and I still go back to those notes all the time. Whenever I feel like I've gone a little sideways, it's like, oh, go back to those notes. And sure enough, it gets me right back on track. And again, I feel like I was just out in the world without a GPS, without a map, without any direction. And then I came to your class, and I swear it just was like, oof, laser focused. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew the steps that I needed to take. And I'm certain I am 3 years ahead of where I would be had I done it on my own. Absolutely. And actually, I don't even know if I would have gotten here. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I would have taken the step to get where I needed to be, where I am now. I don't even know if I would have a studio.
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. Even though the desire was there, I didn't have the direction. And if you don't have direction, you don't just do this.
And all
Right.
it took was that little bit of faith on January 1st to the 5th when you had COVID. Just that
Yes.
little decision to come out to sunny California and have a couple days with us.
Yes. It was incredible. Everything was incredible. I can't give you just one thing because it was all valuable. I don't think there was 1 minute where I felt like I wasn't getting good information. And in fact, I kept wanting more. Like I just wanted to absorb it all, and spend just an enormous amount of time with you. But then I was also super excited to get home and start applying it here.
And so, and you shared with us that you've been shooting about 8 clients a month, which is amazing in your first year. That's a really good amount of shoots to have in a month for one person. That's great. So
I know
congratulations.
it's almost a little crazy, but I love it. I love it. And I even felt like for my grand opening, I had over 100 people in here. And I don't know if I would have been able to handle any of that had I not had the foundation to set up what I had going. And it took off faster than I thought. But because I had my foundation in place, I could actually handle it because I actually was expecting it to be a little slower at the beginning. And I think I've even surprised a couple of my family members. They're like, we just had no idea it would be this good for you, that we thought it would take a lot longer to get to this point. I feel like I'm 3 years ahead of where I would have been had I not come to the workshop.
Congratulations, Emily. We are just so happy for you.
Thank you.
Loved watching, I've just been watching your Facebook and your Instagram posts, and I'm like, she is killing it. I just love that you took all the information and you literally just ran with it. And we had no doubt in our minds that you were going to be successful.
You know what? I have to tell you too, I didn't have any doubts that I would be successful after being in your workshop. Awesome. It honestly gave me the confidence and the direction and the tools that I needed to get started from 0 to full studio.
So awesome. I love your story.
Thank you. I love it too. Thank you for helping me write it. Because really, so here's the thing. If you wouldn't have been there to share, I wouldn't have the story to write. I mean, that's how much I appreciate what you and Kevin have done to open up your studio, to open up and give all of the knowledge that you have, the secrets to success. Honestly, I know I wouldn't be here.
We're so blessed to be a part of that story.
So if somebody was on the fence who's watching this video, once we post this, if they were on the fence or they were thinking about it and they had a chance to talk to you about it real quick, like what short little message would you give to them?
Just do it. Take the leap of faith. You will not regret it. You will. It was the best money I've spent in over 2 decades. Mm-hmm. Best money I've spent. Best information I've ever gotten. I just completely blew me away. So my advice is just go. Just sign up. Go. You will get information, even if you feel like you are way down the road already in your boudoir life. You will get amazing information out of this.
Love it. So Emily, you've kind of touched upon it already a little bit, but can you just go into in a little bit more detail your experience coming out to us in Claremont, California, what you were expecting, what ended up happening? Can you just kind of go into more detail about the overall experience that you had?
Okay, well, I was expecting to maybe get some photography tips, and see a studio that was already in motion. I was blown away because it was so much more than that. I was not expecting to have the marketing, the business side. I really was not expecting as much business side as I got. The photography side of things was way more than I expected. Just being able to work with Julia, work in the studio was incredible. Your space is gorgeous. It was easy to find. It was easy to fly into the area. So to get around, I mean, I was pretty apprehensive about that. I was coming out there without a car and, just kind of, all right, here I go. I'm just going to land in the middle of Claremont, California and figure it out. And it's a beautiful little town, city. It's a beautiful studio, beautiful space. I was actually expecting, I think a little more regiment of, we start at 9 and we end at 4 and it's done. And you were just so giving of your time. It just, you went over and above what I thought we would for the amount of information, the amount of time that you gave. It just this is a passion of yours, and you can tell, and you shared that passion, which then ignited my passion even more. So I guess I was expecting good information and some good direction, and I ended up just getting the complete roadmap and all the direction and support and extra on top of what I thought I would get. And when I say it's 80% more than I thought it was going to be, not just like 10% more. It was incredible. It was just blew me away. And all the little details too. I think this is the important thing, when you're doing boudoir and you're with women, it's just all the tiny details that Julia focuses on that you don't think about, right down to the glasses you drink the champagne out of, and the charcuterie board that we had, and just having the albums right there to touch and to look at, and to just see her editing process. I mean, there were all these little tiny details that matter that you don't think about in the broad spectrum. And I guess I thought I would get like kind of a broad spectrum, this is what you do, and you guys got pretty granular with things, and that was really helpful. I didn't feel like I was missing anything when I left, except for I wanted more time. I wanted 5 more days with you.
Well, speaking of that, so even after you took the workshop, we didn't go anywhere, right? Some workshops you do the days or whatever, and then they ghost you, right?
Yes.
So can you share like how we've been able to keep in touch with you?
Yes, well, first of all, I love our group that we've set up, that we can, post questions and get answers from not just you two, but from these wonderful photographers in the group, these wonderful people who have come to the workshop. I mean, I still really am cheering on my classmates that I had, right? And then there have been a couple of times where, I think starting any business it can throw you sideways. And there have been a couple of times where I've, posted in that group that, gosh, this happened and it was, tragic for me that day. And then to have Kevin have you call me and talk me off that ledge, it was incredible. Like, that's not what I was expecting. And yet you're there and you give and you support. And I can recall 3 times now that I've had to have, I was in a little mini business meltdown, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And you were just there to give support and really good advice that helped me move forward within minutes. I mean, I didn't even have to wait a day. You were calling me right away to make sure that I was okay and that I had support. So I appreciate that. The support I've had for the last year from both of you has been incredible. And the response rate is so fast. And I feel like you are there cheering me on.
Sure.
And supporting me and helping me through this process. I could not be more grateful for the fact that I found you both.
Emily, thank you so much for taking the time to just kind of give us your testimony and your experience at the workshop. We loved having you. You're an amazing person inside and out. And I know you are just you're just rocking it over there in Michigan and changing women's lives on the daily. And we're so happy that we were a part of getting that going for you and to see where you are now. So do you want to share your Instagram and your website if people, kind of want to check out your stuff and maybe follow you on Instagram?
Oh, I would love that. So Instagram, I'm Fringe Photography Boudoir. And on the website, it's fringephotography.com. And you can see my work there and you can see what I've been doing. And I'd love to have you come to my studio in Michigan.
Yes, if you're in the area.
If you're in Michigan, come check me out. I do an open house the first Friday of every month.
I think we should make a trip up.
I think we should surprise her one day.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh, I would be totally blown away.
All right, Emily, we'll let you go for now. Thanks again.
Thanks, Emily.
Yes, thank you guys for everything. I really, truly am so grateful that you had this workshop and that I have what I have now.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.